Hello everyone, my name is Nick. You may know me as Hello Insomnia, and today I want to show you the new SEO plugin that I'm releasing. This is going to be shot in two different videos because there's kind of a lot to go over. So I'm going to split it up into two different videos. In this video, I'm going to show you the Moz metrics, which you can find under the SEO plugin Moz API commands. So we're going to look at downloading backlinks. We're going to look at getting the Moz metrics for a URL. We're then going to go over the domain location command. We're also going to talk about some domain functions in this video. We're going to talk about the wayback functions. And that's actually going to be it for this video. And in the next video, I'll go over things like getting social metrics, link shortening, keyword scraping, checking the keyword density, and some of these URL functions as well. So as you can see, there's a lot here, a lot to cover. So let's get right to it. All right, the first thing we're going to go over is Moz metrics. So we can get the Moz metrics for a URL. You can obviously you're going to have to add your URL. You have the option here to use a proxy if you wish. You're going to need an access ID and secret key from Moz, and you can use a free account for both of these Moz commands here. They will work with a free account. So you can check the page authority, the domain authority, the Moz rank, and link count, and of course you can set these how you wish. I'm going to set them all to be true so that we can see how this works here. And this is going to save it in a nice table for us, already set up, so you can just export it if you wish. And as you can see, the results here. Now let's go over the backlinks. Now, for the backlinks, this is actually going to download 1,000 or up to 1,000 backlinks all at once. So I'm just going to hit run and talk about it for a sec. So this is going to take a couple seconds because of that. Actually, in the Moz API, they don't even say anything about this. So this is sort of like a trick, I guess you could say. And so this is going to go ahead and get, like I said, up to 1,000 backlinks. But because it's YouTube, obviously that means that we can get 1,000, as you can see here. And you can scroll through this and see there's lots of links there. So that's pretty cool, up to 1,000 links in just one call there. This also, by the way, will sort the links by highest page authority. So the top link here is going to have the highest page authority, and then, so on and so forth. All right, so let's talk about domain location information. So I've added some various domain related things into this plugin because I think it's very important to get as much information as you can in certain situations. And sometimes knowing things like the server location really helps. So that's what this is going to do. It's going to create a nice little table for us here, and it's going to give you all of this information depending on the country. Some countries won't have things like a zip code or region or things like that. So obviously my server's in the United States. You can see the IP, the country, the country code, the country, the region, which in the case of the United States is the state, the city it's in, zip code, the time zone, and the latitude and longitude location. Alright, let's go on to more domain functions here. Alright, so we have something called domain availability DNS check, get domain IP, as well as a whois lookup. And I will talk about these individually here. So domain availability DNS check. This is going to see if there are any DNS servers that can be found for that domain. So this is going to use like your either ISP, or if you have Google DNS or OpenDNS set up, then it's gonna ask that for the IP address basically of the website. Now, why would you want to do this? Because it's a really quick and easy way to see if the domain has been registered. So if this comes back as false, or as false, that means that the domain is for sure registered. So it's not available. Now, if this comes back as true, that means that it's very likely that the domain is available, but you'll need to take a few more steps. And I'll go over that in just a second when we talk about the who is. But for now, just know that if you want a really, really fast and easy way to check a lot of domains without running into any kind of limits like API or anything, you can check unlimited domains using this method. And if they're false, then you know for sure that those domains are registered. So that's a cool little thing. Domain IP, this is just going to get the domain IP address. And then what you can do is you can take that IP address and you can put it in the domain location info. You can use a domain name as well. This will accept either. Who is lookup? All right, so this is going to ping the whois server. In this case, we're pinging this whois.verisign-grs.com. Now, this whois server is going to accept .com, .net. Let me pull up the list here, and I'll leave a link somewhere to this list, by the way. But these are various DNS servers, or I'm sorry, whois servers that you can use to look this info up. So this is going to do .com as well as .net. And if you want the other ones, they're all listed, or most of them at least are listed right there. I'll link to that website. So by default, when you use this function, it's just going to have this server there. But just keep in mind that if you want to look up anything besides .com and .net, you will have to insert the whois server related to that extension. So for .bi, you would use this one. All right, and so what that's going to do is that's going to get us the sort of like top level whois information. And what I mean by that is it's going to give you this kind of information like the domain name. Now, if it's not registered, I'll ping that as well in a second. So you can see it's going to say something different. And so that's sort of like your secondary check to see if a domain is registered. First, you do a DNS check. And the reason that you do that is because it's like a cheap and easy way. Like there's no limitations. You can check as many as you want as fast as you can, basically. And so you can weed out the domains which are already taken. Then you do this whois check, because this is also a fairly low cost way to check the domains. So you're not really going to run into a lot of limitations here, except I've noticed with .org, they tend to limit you to, I think, 4 queries per minute. So just keep that in mind if you want to check .org domains. But otherwise, they allow you to do a lot. So you don't have to worry as much. And so you're going to get this information here. And this is, like I said, more of like a top level whois. So this isn't the same kind of whois lookup that you would get from a registrar. If you wanted all of the information, you would then have to go to Enum and then get that information from them or from another registrar. So I don't have that built in at the moment, but this information at least will get you things like, is it registered, first of all, which is usually what you want to know anyways. Then it'll get you information like the registrar. It will get you the name servers. In case you're wondering who's hosting it, you can look up the name servers. In this case, it's very obvious that HostGator, for example, is hosting the website. You can get the creation date, so you can figure out when. Well, this is one way. We'll go over another way in a minute, but this is one way to figure out when the site was first created, and you can get the expiration date as well. So you can use regex to get this information out. It's pretty trivial. If you have any problems with that, let me know and I'll help you out. So that's the domain functions, and like I said, that's one way to figure out when the website was created. But another way is to use the Wayback Machine, and I've built in some various things that interact with one of the Wayback Machine's APIs, so we could actually do a lot of cool things here. So the first thing I'm going to go over is just getting the first capture link and the last capture link. So I'm just going to put a stop script here. And for my site, we're going to get Wayback first capture and last capture. And as you can see, this is going to provide us with some links. So if I want to navigate to the first capture of my website in archive.org, we can do that and we can look at that. And as you can see, it's from the 6th of October 2012, and you can kind of see here that it's like basically the first capture. It might be the second one, but this is information from them. I can't really change that. Now we can look at the last capture it's taken as well. And I want you to notice one thing while we're waiting on this. There's a toolbar up top here. I've actually added in this little functionality to remove that toolbar. This is kind of a trick though. So I have set it to false by default. It may not work 100% on every site because this isn't like something that they support really. It's just sort of a trick. So I'm actually going to show you what that looks like. So we'll just run these and we'll get the new links. And I will navigate to the same thing, this last capture. But now the toolbar should be removed. So this is good if like you want to be scraping archive. And there you can see this is still archive, but the toolbar is removed. So this is good if you want to be scraping archive stuff and you want to remove some of like the code, or if for whatever reason you want, But that's usually probably the reason why you would want to do that, is you're scraping archive. Alright, so another thing that we have is we can get the first capture date and the last capture date. And we can get this in various formats. So we can get like the short date. If I look at the, let's see here. I'm just going to clear everything. Alright, so let's look at the first capture date and we'll go by short date. There it is. Alright, so that's what that looks like. And again, that's like October the 6th, 2012. Now we can look at long date. So it's going to kind of like write out the date. Now let's try last capture for the other ones. We can have the date and time. This is going to come back in more of like a how they would normally display it. So you can get the exact like time. So in this case, and it's in 24-hour format. So in this case, it's like 10 p.m., 10:03 at 41 seconds. And lastly, you can get the year. And I'll show why I included the year. So we're actually just going to run each of these to show you the year. And did I do that? Okay, there. And the reason that I did that is because I built in this function to get whatever captures between 1 year and another year. And you don't actually have to use year. It's just the easiest thing, but you can put in a date stamp like that. So if you know how to make like a time and date stamp that's like in the format that they want, you'll have to look it up, but it's something like year, month, day, hour, minute, second on a 24-hour clock. If you know how to make that, you can actually put that in, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to do from year to year. So if I just run this, it's just going to go and get all this information. And as you can see, now I removed the toolbar, which isn't helpful. There's 66 captures here, and we have 66 items. So we can actually get every single capture. And we can also remove the toolbar for those as well. So you can do some really cool things with the Wayback Machine. One little thing to note, if you try to put Google from like 1998 or whenever it started to like 2017, this is going to take a long time and it may actually time out. So you'll want to go like year by year for things like that. I've gotten as much as like 40 something thousand captures back in a like maybe 30-second time span. So just to give you a rough idea of like what that thing can do, it could actually end up getting you every single capture for a website, because most websites that you want to scrape, they're not going to have hundreds of thousands of captures like Google probably does. They're probably going to have maybe hundreds or maybe even a couple thousand, and so you'll be able to get those most likely in 1 to 2 calls. So again, this is just the first video. I'm going to have another video just like this, which is going to go over the rest of the stuff which we haven't talked about, including things like link shorteners, keyword scrapers, social metrics, what are these URL functions, and the keyword density checker.